guys, thanks so much for tuning into Amber Propp Designs. This is my 10 pouring medium video, and I'm really excited to bring this to you guys. I've been working on it for a really long time. I really hope you enjoy. There was a lot of these mediums that I've never used before, so I'm really excited to bring this to you, and I hope you enjoy. So in each video, I'm gonna go through how much pouring medium we should be using, because some of them do change, and they do change even within different colors. It was kind of crazy. So I wanna show you that, and at the end, we're gonna go through each painting step by step. So if you have any questions or comments, let me know, and I will help you with that medium if we went through it today, okay? And moving forward, if there is a medium that you haven't tried and you'd like to, please let me know, because I am always looking to test new stuff out. Okay, thank you so much, and I hope you have a great day, guys.
Who wants to paint pour? Let's go paint pour.
Hi everyone, this is my 10 pouring medium video where I'll be going through each individual mediums and using the exact same ratio of paint and pouring medium. I'll let you know if there is anything that is a little different. The only thing that I can think that we might have to add a little bit of water to each piece, but we will go through that step by step, and we're gonna test out these products, see which one we really like, which one makes the big differences. So one of my favorites that we do have is Floetrol. I use this extensively. Okay guys, so today the colors that I'm going to be using with my mixtures for the 10 pours will be Artist Loft, Flow Acrylic. I'm going to be using yellow, white, red, and blue. I'm going to be using the same paints throughout the entire video. The same portions, 1 part paint, 2 parts Floetrol. I'll let you know if I have to add any water to make it a little more fluid depending on the medium that we're using. But I want to use the same paints throughout so we have that consistency. I'm hoping to not have to add water because I want to use exact measurements of everything just so we have that exact same type of science lab test so we can rule out, see which one's better, see which one we like. Now with my Floetrol, I do always add a touch of water. So for all of these lessons, we're actually going to do tree pours, so it's going to be the same technique throughout the whole thing. The reason being is we want to see if those tree rings, the lines in itself, are going to clash together, are they going to kind of turn gradient, or are they going to keep separated, like the whole point of the tree pour. We want to make sure that it's really, that this pouring medium is effective for what we want to use it for. And if you've already subscribed to my channel, thank you so much. If you haven't, you can click that little subscribe button, hit the bell, you'll get notifications. And I'm always looking for feedback. If you guys want to see a certain video or anything like that, comment below. I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. So it's up to you. If you want to torch your piece, you can. I'm not going to torch any of these. I want to have that consistency throughout and kind of see exactly how these rings are going to hold up once they dry. There are a lot of cells within the rings already. It's awesome, and so much depth within this painting. I want to see how it's going to dry. Normally I would go over my edges, and if it fits, we will definitely do that in the next medium. Even though it is like a kind of white to clearish, still has a white tint, but it doesn't seem to change the way the colors do. I find sometimes when you're working with Floetrol, it has a really white coating to it. So certain colors it changes, and not always, which is kind of like blue is completely fine, but I find with my reds, I really have to watch how much medium that I'm putting in. And keep stirring. You don't want to add too much because then you're gonna, this might be too liquefied. I'm excited to do this demo on all of them because there's so many. Like I said, I've used 2 of the mediums, the Floetrol and the Liquitex. So I'm excited to try these other ones. Like, it's just gonna be a whole awesome experiment to see how everything works different. And you know, I wouldn't say all pouring mediums are bad. I'd say it depends on what effect you're going for. So that's what's exciting, because even though you might not particularly use this one for a certain painting, you know, in the future you might have an idea that you know this medium will do the trick for you and it'll work. So that's why I love trying new product. You just never know what you're gonna get with. Sometimes you have to work a little harder to understand it, but it's always super fun to just kind of work on a new project. And the only thing I'm going to change in this little experiment, because I've been adding too thick of layers to my tree pours for that ring at the end, as you guys seen in my experiments, I'm just going to change it to 3 layers. So I'm going to do my blue, yellow, red, white, blue, yellow, red. And then we'll go from there, just so we have a few more rings in there. What I like about this medium is as I'm mixing it, yes, there are bubbles, but not so much that it's almost like foaming. It's just a really nice mixture, nice and smooth. You are gonna get bubbles in any mixture, obviously, when you're whipping it around. So you can use the torch, but for this experiment, I didn't want to use the torch on anything because I wanted to see, you know, do you need the torch on each medium? Some of them you will, some of them you won't. And once we keep experimenting more, we'll see the differences. And in the future videos, we can see, you know, is this medium, do you absolutely need this torch? And then how does the paint work with the torch? Does it make cells? Does it do anything at all? And with all the mediums that I'm doing, I want to do other experiments with them as well. I want to give them more than, you know, one chance to say, oh, this is horrible. Like I said, it depends on what kind of effect you're looking for. So this is about, you know, rings, consistency. How does the paint blend together? So that's kind of why I wanted to do which medium is right for you. It really helps when you have worked with a medium before. And that's why I don't want to count out the race already. I wanted to try all of these because when I first started using Floetrol or Liquitex pouring medium, my paintings weren't that great. You know, it still does take a consistency, a practice. So that's why you can't count everything out of the race right away. Oh, I'm just in love with that. All those gorgeous lines. Orange, yellow, red, green, blue. Oh, really nice blending, but yet also keeping the consistency of the pour. I love that. We don't have an overwhelming amount of bubbles so far. They are still popping out a little bit, but not too much to the point that I'm not happy with it. It's really crazy how vibrant this piece is so far, and I really, really hope that it stays this way. The lines are incredible.
So the next one that we're going to do is a Deserres brand. They created their own acrylic pouring medium. And I started this one earlier and the consistency was not very good. As you can see in that blue painting, when I tried to do 1 part pouring medium, 2 parts paint, it was almost like a liquid. In red, you can see that paint right there. So it was very liquefied. So I unfortunately had to waste some paint and put it to the side there and kind of start from scratch. So this is another reason why I have to keep kind of adding a little paint and medium at the same time while I'm stirring, because at one point it got super liquidy, then it was just not enough. So a lot of testing had to go into this one. It was almost a clear, little bit of a white tone to it, and it didn't change the colors at all. The problem that I had with the original painting that I was doing was my hands became very sticky. It was almost like there was a glue-like consistency. Right here you can see when I put it back in the cup, it almost looks like there's some sort of oil. It just kind of sits right on top there. So that's why I'm definitely wearing gloves at this point, because when I was trying to get it off, it was sticking to my hands a lot. Not like when I've used other products before. So it was definitely interesting. And I noticed too, even though I mixed the white really well, you can see those divots that are kind of when tilted to the side. So I'm not too sure. There wasn't any chunks, but it seemed like it wasn't mixed properly, but I know I definitely did. So that's something also to just kind of watch out for. And you can notice we have a lot of nice colors in there. The red is the one that's really popping at the moment. And I think because it just wasn't setting up super quickly. So in the end, what my mixtures were, they weren't similar to any of the other products we did before. Yellow was about 2 parts paint to 1/4 pouring medium. You really didn't need a lot at all, which is not necessarily a bad thing. When you're paying for that little bottle, it's great that it can go a long way. The red was the same. And the blue, I would have said it was about 2 parts paint and about 1/2. So not 2 to 1, but only 1/2 pouring medium. Those colors really pop and those lines are gorgeous. I hope it does stay this way, but we'll just have to see. Let's go on to the next one. So the next pouring medium that I want to do is the Demco. We're going to do it the same as the other ones. So let's get started. And I'm just going to put a little at a time and stir, and we'll see if we like the result. So the whole theory behind everything was 1 part paint, 2 parts pouring medium, which we will get to, but I just want to see how it mixes first. It is actually, I was wondering about this because it seems to look quite similar to that Deserres pouring medium, and it is stirring very similar. It's not breaking up as bad, but very close. So that's kind of why I was a little hesitant with new stuff and to see how we're gonna do this. To test it out first a little at a time. So with the Deserres, it seemed to break up really fast, and you had to have quite a bit of paint in there. With this one, we're just putting a little in at a time, but it's not getting as watered down as quickly as that Deserres one. So we put the similar amounts in, and the red one is more watery than the blue, so that's something to watch out for. And the yellow is quite thick still. So each color we're gonna need to kind of see how to work it. So we might not be doing the 2 parts pouring medium for this one as well. If you can see in here, it really breaks up. It's like seems to be an oil in there, just kind of slides around on that top and then sinks to the bottom. I'm gonna have to add more blue in here. So right now I have 2 parts paint
and a 1/2 pouring medium. With this stuff, you really don't need to add water because a little can go a long way. And add a little more medium in this blue, and we'll have 3/4 pouring medium, 2 parts paint. Okay, so we know that this yellow is a little thicker, but I'm still gonna add that 2 parts paint because it's a little thicker. I'm gonna do my 1 1/4 pouring. The yellow seems to set up really the nicest out of all of them. Seems to have the nicest consistency throughout the paint. When you're mixing it, it feels like the paint is lighter on top in the blue. But this yellow throughout it, it just feels a lot nicer. I'm not sure if you guys seen a few weeks ago, I did a different kind of pour. I'll put the link up for you, but it's like a square pour. So that was pretty cool. You'll be able to see it in the description. I haven't seen a lot of square pours out like that, so I wanted to kind of do something a little different. Make sure you get those edges just to make sure there's no additional paint that's not stirred in there properly. And try to scrape the bottom too if you can. I always kind of am spinning my cup this way just to make sure everything's getting completely mixed up. You know, there's paintings that I've done in the past where if it wasn't quite a good consistency, you can kind of see those lines of the pouring medium in there or the Floetrol. So this is a little more finicky than the Floetrol. I would just be adding a little at a time. Just because it's just like that first Deserres one, it is a trial and error to get that perfect fluidity consistency, and same with Liquitex that we had already tried. It's just a little bit different, but we'll see how it turns out. I'm really excited to try this new product. So we do got a lot of bubbles in here. Normally if I were to torch, I would do that right now, but I'm gonna leave it. I find with, other mediums, some of them will hold those bubbles more than others. Some they eventually just kind of pop on their own, and others don't. They like to kind of just stick in there. So guys, I am really so in love with how vibrant this is. I cannot believe how gorgeous this is turning out. Wow. Like the gradient in here goes from blue to purple inside there. Even a little bit. So incredible. I hope that the cameras catch us how beautiful this is. Let's hope this stays. I just don't even want to touch it because when you touch too much, it could get wrecked. I'm gonna just leave it. Tell myself to stop. We've all been there. We have all been there where we just push it too far and then it doesn't stay and it wrecks. So let's just leave this. I'm super happy with the results. There are so many bubbles in it though. So, that could be a good thing, it could be a bad thing. If they pop and the paint doesn't go through, it could create a lot of divots. So that's where we would want to torch. But then that would create a lot of cells in the tree pour. So for this experiment, this is kind of why we are leaving it. We want to see if these bubbles are going to stay, and are they going to leave on their own, or are they going to create something if you don't torch it? As someone that I'm buying a product, I want to know, how am I supposed to be working with this product? And let's move on to the next one. The next one we're going to try is the Elmer's glue. So a lot of you have tried, the white one or the clear one. Today, I am gonna try the clear one, transparent, and it's the school glue. Great. So I wanted to try this one. It is a little different than some of you guys picked, and some of you have tried it as well. So we'll do that right now. And very excited to show you guys these. These were my reusable plastic sticks that I ordered, that I'm always talking about. Finally, I put my order in, so I got them. They come in 12. So I'll be able to reuse these instead of always getting my wood stir sticks. And so I'm excited to see how they work today as well. I've actually never used any type of Elmer's glue today, so I'm really excited to see if you should be adding water or the consistency, what we should be doing with it. So I'm first going to test it out with 1 part paint, 2 parts glue, and see if that works really well. I'm going to have 2 kinds of white today. Not kinds, I accidentally just didn't grab a bigger cup, so I'm going to have 2 white. Actually, just by putting that 2 parts, I am almost out of my glue, so I should have bought it in bulk. So the reason why I picked the clear one is I kind of wanted to see how it would mix just on its own. I didn't want to have like a white effect. I wanted to just test this one on and see, just so it didn't have any change in color. So far I love these stir sticks. We'll see. I like that they're a little bit bigger on the bottom. So I really love the fluidity already. You barely have to mix it in. I'm not worried that like with a colored pouring medium, that if it's a different color than what I'm mixing in, I'm not seeing a difference, which is why I wanted to pick it. I'm not even gonna add water. It's really beautiful just the way it is. You can see it looks super creamy, really fluid. Very happy with that. And you can always get Elmer's glue in bulk, especially if you're just starting out. I feel like this is the way to go. If you're not sure if you like the process or not, it has just a beautiful creamy appearance. I'm actually very impressed. Now, the one thing that I have heard about the pouring medium of using Elmer's is, although it works amazing, that it is not archival. And what that actually means is it might not last forever. So it could yellow very easily by UV rays or anything like that. So that's something to keep in mind. If you're playing around, why not? If you're gonna be making something to sell, or even just a piece for yourself that you want to keep around for a long time. Myself, I'd still stick with a pouring medium just because it's not gonna fade. Very happy with the Elmer's glue. No lumps, no chunks that you have to worry about. It, like I said, I can totally understand why this is a go-to for many people, and this is my first time using it. Easy to stir and mix in. We are getting a lot of bubbles, which I'm not really surprised at. I'm finding it setting up a little quicker than I used some of the other ones, and it could be because it's glue, which is completely fine. That center looks gorgeous. You can see rings, you can see gradients. It's amazing. There's a few bubbles, but not as many as I really expected, considering how the cup looked a few minutes ago. The red got quite dark, almost to like a burgundy. Some of it's kind of purple. But yeah, the red really, that blue took over that red and yellow quite a bit. So that's why I'm really curious to see how this piece is going to turn out once it's dry, considering just in the cup that blue took over so much. What would have happened if we let that paint sit longer in the cup? I'm super impressed with the amount of cells we're getting. Like, this is so crazy. The more that we're spreading this out, it's beautiful. We have like a cloud effect going on here, and we're not adding anything other than the glue. Overall, like, so far, I'm super happy with this process of the Elmer's glue. The only thing, like I said, the setup time. And at first, it seemed like the blue took over so much that you couldn't really see anything. But look at all of the tones we're getting. Yes, the blue took over, but wow, we're getting greens, purples, pinks, blues. We do even have a bit of yellow. The cells over here with the lacing is actually yellow, and I'm not sure if you can see that. We do have quite a bit of bubbles in the corners, so we'll see how that turns. You know, is it gonna make divots? How's it gonna look when we're done? overall working with the piece, I really couldn't be happier. That green looks like electricity from up here. It's so bright. In fact, it's funny because if it was an archival pouring medium, I would probably use this all the time. The only reason why I would be hesitant is because it's not archival and it could yellow this beautiful part. Okay guys, we're gonna go to the next one now. Okay guys, I am very excited to show you this one. It is DecoArt liquid glass. Now when I talked to the customer service, because I wasn't sure, there was a lot of questions online that I noticed where they weren't sure if you should use it as a pouring medium or use it after for that liquid glass look. And when I discussed with the company, they actually responded within a few minutes and said that you can use it either way. So today for this lesson, we're just gonna mix it as a pouring medium, but there will be more videos to come in regards to using it as a liquid glass, almost like a resin look. So this solution almost has like a yellow texture to it. So we're gonna see if it mixes well, has almost like a syrupy, but it's not too thick. Very quick too, you're not having to worry about any clumps or chunks like some of the other mediums. This actually reminds me a lot of that Elmer's glue from the previous painting here. Just super quick. So far, I am very impressed with this, how it's working. And yeah, like we're really not worrying about any chunks with this. It's really beautiful how it comes together. We are getting a bit of bubbles, but I mean, that's gonna happen when you're mixing anything. This is a pouring medium, once again, I have not ever tried or used, so your guess is as good as mine. So I'm really not too sure what I'm getting into, but I guess we'll have to see. I find it fascinating with paint pouring that each little component can change everything, or a different color could work differently with the pouring medium. And I found with most of the experiments, actually, my blue always was a little different than every other color. Like when we look back in the videos, we can see that blue didn't mix as well with some of those other pouring mediums compared to the red and yellow. It's really interesting. So this guy's moving quite slow here already. We have one little chunk in here, which is not too bad, considering that could have just been my fault. I do have quite a bit of bubbles, so I'm hoping those will leave. I'm just gonna kind of move this around because it is moving quite slow. One side, you can see it all just mixes. It's so gorgeous. And the other side just seems to be blue and red. So I'm really interested to see what's gonna happen here. So even though I have a base coat down, I'm still finding that it's wanting to stick. That base down below is not really helping it move too much, so we'll see how the other edges work. I'm not sure if you can see this on camera, but it's almost overlapping already, even though there's that base on there. I'm wondering if the white under it is already almost set up, that it's not gonna move much after this. So we'll see, we'll just keep plugging away at this. I'm really impressed with the vibrancy of the colors, that they're all staying separate in their rings, that it looks incredible. Like these lines are gorgeous. It's definitely an interesting medium. Usually I can control how I'm tipping my pours a little better, and I find that it's something I would have to really learn on how to use this one. I don't usually get that, but because it's thick, it's dragging a whole lot more paint than I'm used to. Not that that's a bad thing by any means, because instead of you having lumps or edges that aren't going to be done, they'll be done, but you might lose extra or additional paint that you might not have wanted to. So it's definitely something to learn. This seems so different. I love how it turned out. I absolutely love how this looks. There are so many rings within it. It's beyond beautiful. I hope this definitely stays the way it is, but we'll have to see, like all the rest of them. And let's go to the next one. All right, none of us are strangers to the Golden brand GAC 800. So what I wanted to do with this one is many of you use it and many of you use it different ways. Some with other mediums, some with just this Golden brand. So what I wanted to do is try just this as a pouring medium. Why not? Let's give it a try. Let's see how it works and how it'll turn out. So this looks like white glue to begin with. On here it says that it is transparent. So I'm gonna see how it looks once it's mixed. It says it's 100% acrylic pouring medium, reducing craziness. If used alone, has moderate clarity. So we will see how this works. Very happy. Beautiful consistency, as you can see. No lumps, no chunks. So it made the red a little brighter, almost a pink. It's quite liquidy. It did tint the blue a bit lighter, but nothing that would make me be upset. The yellow seems to be doing just perfect, actually. Okay, and white looks really good, beautiful, fluid, something a little different for me as well. I know many of you have used this solution before, and like I said, I've heard wonderful things about it. So I cannot wait to see the results. This white held out really nice. So as you can see, we have crazy lines as always. So far so good. Let's get going. I'm really excited to see how this one's gonna turn out. I can't believe how just perfect these lines are, and I hope you guys can see that on the camera. We do have quite a bit of blending on the outside of colors. We have that blue and red turning it that deeper purple. But even within those colors that are mixing, the lines are still together. It's not gradient. It has a really wonderful movement. It has quite a bit more paint, and so instead of it falling over that edge, which we're gonna do, it kind of brings it back with it. I'm hoping this stays the color as well. I hope it doesn't darken like a lot of the paintings do, because those are really beautiful colors combined. It is definitely a very fluid painting, which I don't mind. Preferably, I like mine to be very fluid. I don't like when it gets stuck. I feel like it can take too much time, and that it always makes me worry that the paint's drying too quickly or setting up too fast, so then I myself start getting a little concerned. So I really like the feel of this, and it's definitely just a preference for me. The downfall to if it is quite fluid is if for some reason you don't have your canvas 100% level, it will slide and your painting will most likely be 100% different than when you left it. And I've had that happen all too many times. In the middle section, because it is moving so quickly, it just seems to want to keep going over that edge. So I feel like I'm just gonna pour a bit of this part off. We're gonna try our best to get this corner, and let's tilt it a little bit. I want to see if more brightness will kind of come out. The lines are gorgeous. We're losing a little bit of them in some areas, but not too many. So it's really interesting how this is turning out. We're getting quite a few cells up in that corner there as well. Let's move on to the next, guys. I am going to go through the Pebeo acrylic pouring medium. I'm very excited about this one. This is another Canadian brand, same as DecoArt and Deserres. So we're going to try these out They are available on Amazon, so you should be able to find them as well and try them out. And just like my other videos, I'm going to speed this along here. If I do make any changes, I'll let you know right away. This has a white, almost like gluish look to it, if you can see. I'm just putting in a bit at a time. As we know in my other videos, I just want to make sure it works good. I've never used this before, so I don't want to put too much in at one point and then have it too watered. You don't have to put a lot of work into it. There's not really any lumps or chunks. At first it separates, but then it turns out really beautiful. And I'm glad that I didn't put the two parts right away because it is turning very liquefied already. It has a really beautiful consistency when we are stirring it. So for the yellow, I actually only used 1 part paint, about 1/4 pouring medium, and it's already set up really beautifully. This is really easy to stir. I really like this. And so I have a lot already, so I'm just gonna go straight ahead and put 2 parts paint, 1 part pouring medium in this white. It has a nice creamy consistency. It does seem a little thick, but when you pour it out, it's really nice. So we'll see how this turns out. And you wanna make sure you do stir these. They're setting up quite fast already. Yellow doesn't want to come out of the cup because they're setting up so quickly that I can't get them to move fast enough out of the cup that they're already in. So this is why you don't see me filling up this cup. We got a lot of red in there, even though it's the same amount. So obviously it's spreading out more than those other colors at this point because it wasn't as set up as the other one. I'm trying to get my swirl in it for the tree pour, but it's turning more into a ribbon pour because it's not really wanting to let me swirl. I'm trying to go kind of more excessive in the swirl to see if it will let me. And it is, but you gotta go pretty exaggerated circles. So far the colors look gorgeous, very vibrant. A few of them have mixed together, but nothing bad. And tilting is not as bad as I was expecting considering how set up this paint is. We do have a few bubbles that are coming out, but nothing major. So far, these colors are, in my opinion, gorgeous. They're holding their own color, but yet not blending too much. They blend a little bit. We got some orange and green in there that look amazing. To be honest, the setup really scared me at first, but I am beyond pleased with how this piece is moving. Not concerned at all. Even the lines that it's holding in the side here is beautiful. So this guy is setting up so much. We will see if we even make it to that other corner. I really don't like tilting it this way because it's coming off the sides too much, but I'm not getting this corner. And the whole experiment is about the pouring medium in itself. So I'm gonna try to just do this side now. It's moving so slow. I think maybe a combination of that one part losing a little too much paint from the sides and with it setting up. So it's not moving really much anymore at all. So I'm gonna leave it. No matter how much I'm pounding it to the table, it's just not really working. So at this point, we'll just see how it dries. And I hope it stays this way. Looks awesome. I'm gonna add, just so we can try to finish this corner, add a little bit of color. I know it might not be the same, but I feel like that is a little out of place
Overall, I'm very excited for this painting. I wish it would have had a little more fluidity to it, but that's something we can do in the next video because look at these colors, guys. They're absolutely gorgeous. We have all the colors of the rainbow in here. Hopefully only you guys will notice it. That'll be our little secret. This is the DecoArt pouring medium. I know a lot of you have tried this one, but personally I have not tried it yet. So we are gonna get to it. I'm gonna start off with using the 1 part paint, 2 parts pouring medium, see if that works. It's almost more a pink with it, but you know, that's quite normal with a lot of these mediums when they have that white in there. Mixes really well, like you're not getting a bunch of chunks. Even the yellow is turning a little bit lighter as well. Something to watch for. It's a little thicker than the red, and that could be it just wasn't the perfect dosage, so add a little more medium. A little more fluid. I'd say this is almost, not quite, but turning into almost a pastel yellow. I really do like the color though, I have to say. And I'm gonna add a touch of water to this guy, the yellow, just because it's not getting fluid enough for my liking, my preference. Didn't have to add too much, just a touch of water. Still a little thick, but I'm gonna leave it and we'll see after. And the blue is very good consistency. It stayed the same color. I mean, it's a tad lighter, but nothing that I would even really notice if I wasn't experimenting. As you can see, the colors are a little bit lighter than you would normally get from the bottle. I don't mind that sometimes because it's just a little bit lighter, it's nicer, different colors, but if you're wanting that exact color from the bottle, I mean, that could be a problem for you. Usually when you're picking a color, you want to have the color that you chose, not have the medium change color, but we'll see once it darkens up how that works. It goes kind of to a darker color. So blue and red, we didn't have to do anything other than mix it. White and yellow, we had to add a little bit of water. Seems to be quite thick as I'm trying to pour it out of the cups already. I'm tilting it so much because you can see it's already setting up. Not really wanting to move at all, actually. I love the colors though so far. Some are not. It's really interesting. It's so different, so unique. And that's one thing I'm finding with this experiment. When there is quite thick paint and it sets up, when it's pouring out of the cup, it's still just as beautiful as if it had a more fluidity because it's holding its own layers. And some get gradient and some don't. Some stick to their stripes, which is very interesting. We have so many colors going on right now. It is gorgeous. There's barely any bubbles in this. A lot of them have turned out really gorgeous and vibrant, but this one just has really a smooth, rich color to it. I'm not sure if that's the correct term, but it just seems to be really beautiful. It is a little hard to be tilting because it's so set up. As you can see, it's only moving the one direction, not really as fluid, but it's holding its lines so far. Plus it has gradient in it, a very different effect from most of them. So we will see, and we will go to the next video now. And last but not least, I noticed this one in the store. I have not seen anybody use it yet. For sure people might have, but this one just struck me to try out. Golden is an amazing brand. This says leveling, low crazy and extender, pouring acrylic colors. On the bottle it says starting at 10 parts color, pouring medium gloss to 1 part golden fluid acrylic color. So you're using quite a bit of this compared to the paint already, it states on the bottle. So we're gonna go dive right into this, guys, and see what we can do, and I'll let you know how much paint we're using. Pardon me, I'm a little dirty from my other pours, so I might be getting paint everywhere here. Because it says it on the label, we're gonna try this one. It's our last one. Try it out. See if the instructions are what we would normally want to use as a preference. So first I'm just gonna stir the blue. Let's see how it goes. So it's quite watery when you add even actually the same amount of paint. So I'm gonna add a lot more blue. So right now we're at about 2 parts paint, 1 part pouring medium. I love the way it stirs, no lumps, no chunks, easy. You're not stirring it for a long time. So we'll do the same thing. So it is quite liquidy still. So we're gonna do the same thing as the blue. So that's really good to know actually, that it's very much the same as the Floetrol and the Liquitex pouring medium. Beautiful. I love it. Has a beautiful consistency throughout. And just so you guys know, again, I do have all of the materials that we're working with today on my Amazon store. So if you have anything that you'd like to try, just check out the link below and it will direct you to that item. If you have not yet subscribed to my page, please do so. Also, guys, I want to hear what you use for your cleanup process, because I'm trying to really eliminate as much waste as possible. I got the stir sticks. I have my silicone mat, so I'm not always using different plastics. What else can I do? Because I know that it comes with a lot of waste, but I'd like to hear from you guys what else you end up doing. I'm really curious also to know about the water, because when we're washing things like this, what can we do to reduce things? I'm really open to ideas and suggestions. So yeah, I'd like to hear from you. Really gorgeous fluidity already. Wow, not too many bubbles at all. Not liquidy. I'm not worried of not enough time. I'm not worried that it's too runny. Really nice consistency. I was hoping that this one would be what I thought it would, like I said, with the brand. So I'm really happy with this so far. Very impressed. Let's see which pouring medium stood the test of time. Okay guys, let's get to it. So this is the finale. We're gonna check all 10 of our pours. This is our first one, our Floetrol one. So you can see there were quite a few bubbles, but it did not make any divots. The colors stayed really nice. There were areas that darkened with that blue, but it turned out really good, and that yellow stayed the same, really popped. It does have almost like a matte finish, not very glossy at all. That's why I wanted to have that light on here so you can kind of see in that area as well. So quite a few bubbles we're seeing with it. Now this was our Liquitex piece that changed quite a bit from the original painting here. And it must not have been completely set up for equal portions on the sides, because it did kind of go over in this direction a little more. It has more of kind of like a nice glossy finish. The colors stayed nice and the lines really stayed good with it. Now there are a few bubbles that you can see. You can see in this areas, a lot bigger than what we've seen with the Floetrol. Something you might be able to take out with that torch. Like I said in the beginning, we weren't going to use a torch. We wanted to see what they could do on their own. Here we have Deserres paint. I want you guys to know that this was my fault. I didn't layer it good enough, but I want you to see, look at how bright this stayed. Even though the setup went really quick and it had almost that glue consistency, look at those lines. And we don't have too many bubbles. We have some cells going on up here. But in regards to bubbles, not many. We have a few divots. Floetrol and Liquitex did not have divots like this, if you can see that, but they are not very deep. Gorgeous lines. Overall, I'm happy that the colors stayed bright. Like I wish I would have did this part a little better. As I said, it has a nice shine to it. But I really love how this yellow stayed just very vibrant. Next on our list is Demco. So as you can see, it has a really nice glossy finish. It does have a few divots, but not very deep. The lines really held out nice on this one. And look at that yellow. It stayed, it popped, it didn't even really dull that much, which is really great, just like that Deserres brand that we tried. We have a few cells up in the corner. Paintings tend to darken, but I really like how that color just stayed and popped. And the back to school Elmer's glue. Now you might be thinking, where did this painting come from? Because it looks 100% different than when we finished it. This actually, and I'll put the photo up right here to kind of compare, is 100% different. All the white cells that we had when making it, it's like they popped and went underneath. Such a cool effect. You can feel the little cells and the lines in it. Definitely was very interesting when I came down to check on the painting here. It has a touch of a glossiness. You can see it brought out, well, tons of cells. Pretty much the entire painting is a giant cell. It held its lines in the corner, which was great. Now it does have a few kind of, I guess you'd call it lumps, just a lot of texture in the painting itself. But it seemed that anywhere there was a lot of white, we had like bubble pops in it. I definitely will be using this again. It really intrigued me. Now, if you're wanting something that is going to stay the same as when you left it, which is completely understandable, that's not something I would recommend to use. Now, this was the back to school one. This one might be different than the regular Elmer's glue, so please keep that in mind. Overall, I actually found this painting to be extremely beautiful, and I was excited to see that it changed. But like I said, if you know you're doing a piece that you have in mind and you want it to stay the same, definitely not one I would recommend for that, but I am beyond intrigued by this and I will be using it again. All right, this is the Tri-Art. This one looks amazing. Look at the amount of lines, glossy finish to it. A few divots, as you can see right there. Look at those lines. They really held their own. Look at how many different colors get in one area. I absolutely love that. There was a few cells, as you can see throughout, but nothing that's overtaking the painting by any means. This product that was super easy to mix, and I remember that because it really didn't take that long at all. This will be one, once again, I'm gonna try out. I was very excited. All right, GAC 800. As you can see already, it has a shiny texture just from that light. Look at those lines, you guys. This painting was a little darker anyway, but look at how many lines have really developed right there. So many different colors within it. I love that. A few of those white cells popped through. You can see those little speckles. There was a little bit of a divot, as you can see right there in the center. But overall, it wasn't too bad at all, and I really enjoyed working with it. It was something that was different, new to me, just like many of these pouring mediums were. And I have to say, each pouring medium brought something new to the table. It was awesome. All right, now we are at the Pebeo. Not sure if you'll be able to see this up on the camera, but it has a super thick glossiness to it. It's almost as if I actually did put a varnish down on it already. It's very great. It feels very thick. Now this was the one that was setting up quite fast. As we can see that corner that we mixed, you can't even really tell, which is exactly what we were going for. You guys know that it happened, but I think if you were to sell the painting, I think it mixed really nice with it. You can see in that light, look how many bubbles we're still showing up. You can see it almost, it looks like it would have a bubbly effect, but it's not that bad, to be honest. You can barely feel anything that looks like it's sitting upwards. something to keep in mind when using this product. Maybe a torch would be best to use, and that's something that I'll definitely be trying next time I use this. But look at in the center how bright and vibrant that stayed. I absolutely love the colors that came out of this. So let's go to the next one, guys. Now, DecoArt. This was one of my favorites when I was working with it. I was concerned it had quite a setup, and that changed the colors completely to that paint. It did get really dark here because we had most of that white over here. But this is even thicker, feels even thicker than the last painting that we did with the Pebeo. The DecoArt feels like there is a coating on it that is quite thick, and to be honest, I love the feel of it. It feels like there is a nice, beautiful finish on it. It's not like a resin. It's not like a varnish, because the varnish would feel thinner. It almost has like a finished plastic over it, and that's the only way I can really describe it. It's a really satisfying feeling. Overall, I wish that the colors would have stayed a little brighter in the one area. But was I happy with when we were pouring it? Yes. I love this pink and blue that we're seeing in here. I love that this part stayed. It's almost like we're looking at, like, you know, a fire and ice type thing, an opposite effect. So I would definitely be using this again. I will not say that there are tons of divots, but there are a few. You can see that some of those bubbles were popping out and showing that white. We have a few cells, but nothing major. It's mostly lines, you guys. And I can't say that I am disappointed at all. I was really concerned that it wasn't going to work well because it changed color so much. So if that's something that you don't want the color to change too drastically, this might not be the medium for you. I like a little bit of guesswork sometimes, not always. So I'll be using it every once in a while to test out and try new things with it, as you'll see in my next videos. Definitely something to keep in mind when you're using this medium. This was a golden brand. This was the pouring medium. I really enjoyed working, mixing everything. Did darken a little bit, but nothing too bad. It does not have too many divots in it. It has the odd one here or there, and it has a nice glossy kind of finish. Look at those lines, look at the vibrancy. Especially for it being dry, I'm very happy that it stayed that vibrant. Overall, guys, I am super happy that I got to show you all of these mediums. And to be honest, I'm gonna use them all again. Like I've been saying throughout the entire video, it really depends on what type of medium you're looking for, as they all can be different. This one, you're getting some cells, but nothing too drastic. I love how there's a little bit of pink and green, orange, blue in there. That's amazing. So overall, guys, like I said, I'll be using them all again. There'll be new videos to come, and we're gonna try them out a second time and see what we'll get. But I just wanted you guys to see what we kind of did with this test and how things kind of changed, and if you would like them. So if you wanted to find any of these products, they're going to be on my Amazon store in the description below. Have a great day, guys. Thanks so much for watching, and remember, just go with the flow.